Who helps dentists survive, thrive, and not cry in the real world of dentisting? My name is Paul, Dr. Nacho Goodman. We have an amazing episode of Talking Nachos where you're going to meet our resources and sponsors that are dedicated to making your dentisting life better. But before we get started, I have a PSA for all human beings. Listen up. This is super, super important. If you're on an escalator, never use your dominant hand on the handrail, because I was flying back from Denver going to meet my team members on a giant escalator, and I lost my balance at the top, and I grabbed the handrail with my left hand and fractured my left ring finger. It would have been worse if it was this hand. I like to look on the bright side, so things could have been worse. It may be a display of amazing athletic ability for a 46-year-old. I did not fall back down the escalator. I was able to stabilize myself, but that is my message for you guys today. And what I want to share is Facebook is awesome, but getting out to meet dentists face-to-face through the power of community. Come to Philadelphia for food, fun, and friends. Cheesesteaks, CE, and camaraderie. Our Dr. Jason Smithson event in April will be my last big event ever. I have been running big events for dentists for over a decade, and I'm passing the torch to my friend Dr. Bob D in Chicago. Running big events for dentists is the work of the Lord G.V. Black, so I still will do Super Dentist Boost Camp, a super awesome small event, but this will be my last big event, and I'm so glad we are bringing in one of the best dentists on earth to teach you, Dr. Jason Smithson. So to get the best price possible and join us, text Smithson to 215-543-6454. So you're going to meet people coming up. They're going to help you learn how to improve your dentisting life, save money, save your sanity, protect yourself, and be more successful. I'm ready for my first guest when you're ready to bring him up. So our first guest, I'd like you to introduce yourself. What is your name and what do you help dentists do to survive, thrive, and not cry, not feel like this on the inside part of their body?
Hi, everybody. My name is Yasin. I'm the founder of GroupUps.com. I have two fully functional hands. Paul,
you're showing off. You're sticking it to me. That's very dentist of you, right off the bat. You're not even a dentist. You're sticking it to me. But I appreciate it.
I can probably beat you in basketball this specific week.
Oh, nice.
Outside of this, probably not.
So, as the founder of GroupUps, what do you guys do daily in this dentisting space to help dentists?
Yeah, so we don't have dental backgrounds. We are data nerds. We are tech nerds, and we use data, tech, and a bunch of AI to actually drive down prices on large purchases. Think like CBCTs, think dental chairs, think sterilizers. We do that two ways, really. One way that we do that's really popular is we do group purchases. So we organized a huge group buy of Vatek handhelds not too long ago. For example, a ton of members of Dental Nachos actually took advantage of that and saved several thousand that way. Awesome. And the other thing that we do is we help big build outs like startup practices or new practice. When you flip a practice and you need to redo all the equipment, we'll help you get better pricing on all that stuff.
Absolutely love that. I mean, you came to Boost Camp, you met Dr. Maggie. So you help dentists of all ages and stages. And what I found is dentists will sometimes complain that DSOs get great pricing. But when they get that pricing, I hear they don't complain. So do you help them get pricing through the power of these groups? Even if I'm just reinforcing what you're saying, kind of break it down for my audience. They're going to buy a CBCT next month. They're going to buy that handheld x-ray. They text group up to 215-543-6454. What's the process like for them to be involved?
Yeah, so it's pretty straightforward. You tell us what you're looking to buy, potentially buying over the next 12 months. Or if you're a startup practice, when you're looking to open and what you're looking to buy, whether it's a CBCT, a sterilizer, give us all of that stuff. The more info we have, and you can do that very simply, it's a quick form. It takes literally less than a minute to fill out. You tell us what you're looking for. We then organize that with everybody else that has told us the same stuff. So now we know that, wow, everybody's looking to buy a handheld in February, and everybody's looking to buy a sterilizer in March. And guess what that lets us do? Go to the manufacturers and say, hey, I have 30 people that want to buy a sterilizer. They don't want to pay the sticker price. How about we talk?
And I love this. I want this company to sponsor me, AHA. But the AHA moment here, like Gatorade, please someone get sponsors, is that you can literally just save money for the exact same stuff. You've done this for our groups. I mean, they have more money in their proverbial pocket, in their practice bank account, because they cross paths with you.
It is literally the same exact equipment. You're usually buying it from the same exact distributors, but for a better price. And it has to do with us just organizing the demand of products.
Well, this is what you're speaking the language of dentist, saving money on what we consider to be, and it can be very costly equipment that we need to succeed. I think if people take a minute, and maybe you learn this in dentistry, we got to buy a lot of stuff to put our game on each day. We have to buy a lot of things from CBCTs, handhelds, and chairs. So I appreciate you doing that. As we wrap up, Yasin, I want to call you a straight shooter. You will tell it like it is, right? So you came to Super Dentist Boost. You didn't have any expectations. How was your experience last year at Super Dentist Boost as one of the participating sponsors?
It was actually a very good experience, and I plan to do it again.
Awesome.
Met really awesome people. We're still working with people that we met there, and we've saved them, I kid you not, tens of thousands of dollars, basically each of them, for stuff that they bought. And the experience was, I learned a ton as a sponsor sitting in the room. So I can't imagine how much the doctors walked away with, because it was informative. And as somebody, so I used to invest in tech startups. I invested in an event technology startup. I have to give you guys credit. You actually put on an incredibly well-run event, which is very hard to accomplish. So
I appreciate it, Yasin. It's food, fun, and friends. Can't wait to see you back to this year. Thanks so much for sharing with us today. We truly appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks. So as you can see right off the bat, you can save money on the same stuff, have more money in your proverbial pocket from using one of our amazing sponsors. I'm ready for my next guest when they're ready to come up. So share with us what you are, who you are, and what you do to help dentists survive, thrive, and most of all, not cry. You might still be muted there, right? And I know some of these guests. I just want them to say their name for the audience there.
You think this is my first time?
And you're just being polite. It's very polite. So you're a polite guy.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, so my name is Ryan Moore. I'm the National Sales Manager with Kettenbach Dental. We are a German manufacturer of, elastomers, restorative materials, preventive materials, and also a new anterior bite plane that we've become the exclusive worldwide distributor of, called QuickSplint. So awesome. The way that we help dentists not cry is, again, by manufacturing high quality materials that are not only predictable, but also we sell direct. So it saves you from having to pay that unnecessary middleman markup.
Love that, Ryan. People can text buying to 215-543-6454. Because I am so special, like my grandmother said, people save money just for knowing me, because Kettenbach has agreed to give us the lowest price possible. I'm a huge fan of Kettenbach. I've used their products. Silginat, the alternative to alginate, has changed my life in the best way. But you do more than just Silginat. I always call Silginat the gateway product to good decisions, the gateway product to better decisions. If you use alginate, you're totally nacho nuts. Use Silginat. But recently, people have been testing out a old school product with a new school twist in fluoride, right? So there's a lot of talk about how adult fluoride can help your patients stay healthy. The most important thing, how it can help you increase patient-centered production. So tell us a little bit about your new fluoride that you have out, and if people can get a free sample through our Nacho community.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's called Profacil. And the significance of this material is that we've developed a fluoride varnish gel without the use of ethyl alcohol or rosin. So without the ethyl alcohol, you get no stinging, no burning of the soft tissue. And without the rosin, there's no allergen. So no adverse reaction for tree allergen, folks who suffer with that, or any allergen for that matter. So the result is the patient actually gets to leave the office respecting the prophy that was just done, and they get a nice clean feeling sensation in their mouth without the proverbial sweater teeth.
Yeah, that grittiness. And you know, as we kind of talk about your next product, you're getting more. You have a composite out now. Tell us more about this composite and the restorative line.
Absolutely. So we've developed Vasalis Fill and Flow. So there's a packable and a flowable version. And this is a great new material. It's got extremely high inorganic fill. So 87 and 84% glass content, which increases the strength, but also gives it an amazing chameleon effect. So with just 5 shades of this composite, you can achieve all 16 classic Vita shades. So it cuts down on your inventory. And to add to that, it is got very low water absorption. So you know if something's going to absorb water, it's going to absorb coffee, tea, things of that nature. So for that reason, it actually will remain color stable, unlike a lot of the products on the market.
You guys need a whole menu of decreasing annoyance because you got Silginat, you got ProSil. We talked about this, and also your temporary material. One of the most frustrating things for dentists is that someone says, "Hey, my temporary broke." Between the, so tell us as your last sort of contribution to decreasing annoyance, the temporary material that you guys have, which has been very popular. I know my office has used it. Tell us about that.
Absolutely. So with many of our restorative materials, it is BPA free, which means it's got relatively no ability to fracture. So super strong material, easy to trim, easy to polish. It looks just like a natural tooth. It can withstand long-term use in a long span. So obviously less calls when you're out on the beach with somebody who broke a temporary and you having to run back into the office and fix it. So again, low cost. I mean, when you compare this material up against some of our big competitors, you're looking at a fraction of the price and equal, if not better quality.
I love it. You should say, Kettenbach, we save your money and your sanity with our products. Well, people can text buying to 215-543-6454. You've supported many of our fun in-person events, Ryan, and I so appreciate that. And thank you for being a supporter and sharing with us today.
Yep. Looking forward to see you guys in Savannah.
Awesome. See you just next week. Nice, Ryan.
All right.
As you guys can see, we're talking about saving money on big picture equipment, decreasing annoyance with restorative materials in your daily life. Talking Nachos is dedicated to helping you cry less inside. I'm ready for my next guest when they are ready to come up. So share with us what you do to help dentists survive, thrive, and not cry.
Thanks, Paul. So I'm Cecil Staten. I'm the founder of Arch Financial Planning. We're a dental-focused financial advisor that works with clients nationwide. And the three primary ways that we help dentists is going to be circled around the following. First and foremost, most are very carry a lot of debt and student loan managing those plans there. So if you're a practice owner or graduated from dental school, you probably came out with a lot of student loan debt. So we assist in developing comprehensive debt management strategies that can help with that. Practice financial planning. So we help dentists with practice financial management, which includes budgeting, cash flow analysis, overhead cost optimization. And then the third thing is the investment and retirement planning. So we can assist in personalized investment strategy based on your risk tolerance, time horizon, financial goals, and then really just incorporating that too with your practice transition plan as well.
And I love what you said there. And I'm going to pick out the word transition. People can text Arch to 215-543-6454 to do a consult with Cecil. You've been an amazing supporter because people probably come to you when a big transition is happening. But us dentists, we don't want you to come when the tooth is broken. We don't want you to come a week before your daughter's wedding. Why is everyone getting so much dental work done? They go, I need my teeth fixed. Okay, cool. I want to look good. My daughter's getting married in 2 weeks. You had so much time to plan. So in a way to encourage our community, maybe we can even start with just debt. When should they be connecting with you to at least start thinking about a debt repayment strategy?
Well, the big thing really, if you want to optimize everything, which I would certainly encourage you to do, you honestly should start thinking about this as a D4. There's a list of things you can do, which I plan on, well, I actually posted about it earlier this week in the group, but it really even starts there. But if you're dealing with student loans, it really starts kind of in that D4 year. There's a couple things you can do. If you're going to interact with an advisor, you definitely want to interact right around the time you graduate because there's a few things you can do. But you don't necessarily have to hire somebody in an ongoing capacity at that point if you just want help with the student loans. But it's one of those things where if you don't do the right things on the front end, it's really going to hurt on the back end. And to your point, for example, if you don't optimize maybe your student loan repayment strategy on the front end, you may be still making payments on the back end of when you're close to being done with them that could have been more reduced rather than having something that's still sitting there lingering. So
and I think what's Nacho nuts to me is figuring out the rules of the game is a whole thing in itself. And even the financial planners and the experts have to stay constantly up to date. So now let's talk about kind of the other end of dentist life. They want to retire. What do you find most of them wish they did sooner? Someone's going to talk to you tomorrow and saying, I'm 53 years old. Am I ready to retire? And you might be like, oh, geez, you're not ready. Or you might say, oh, my gosh, you're in great shape. So what are some things these dentists in their 50s probably wish they did sooner that we could help our audience in their early 30s?
Yeah, well, if you're starting out in your early 30s and you don't want to be that person in their 50s that's wondering, why didn't I do these things earlier? It's really going to start with the end in mind. What do you want it to look like? What do you want your life to look like? And I say that because, if you really love waking up every single day, going to your practice, running the show, and making hopefully a very good income, if you want to do that for a prolonged period of time, there's certain decisions you would want to make earlier versus if you want to get out earlier, there's certain decisions you would want to make there. So really it's just kind of thinking about it from that perspective. And then the next one is just don't get stuck in an analysis paralysis type mode. So there's so much information out there. I mean, you can Google and find so much financial information, but at the end of the day, what actually applies to you? And if you can't sit down and actually take what's out there and put it into a plan for yourself early on, that will be detrimental because time will just keep passing by, and you may not have been
I'll share
investing
with you,
properly.
Cecil, you're currently at 0 fillings done, right? You've never done a filling on a patient because that would be illegal.
That is correct, Paul.
So, I mean, we handcraft this dentistry, full contact arts and crafts. And you said something I'd love my audience to think about. How about you just do it on your own terms? If you love dentisting and you want to keep doing it, do it on your own terms, not because you have to make $262,000 to survive when you're 62 years old. Because I see poignant stories of dentists later in their career that have to work because they didn't cross paths with someone like you earlier. So I think what you do is truly amazing, whether you're a dental student worried about debt, whether you're a medium-aged dentist looking to retire, and then also purchasing a practice. When people text Arch to 215-543-6454, do you jump on a call with them? Do you do a Zoom? Is there a questionnaire? Tell us how people can work with you.
Yeah, so we highly encourage folks to take a look at our website. A lot of times people will come to us and they have either worked with an advisor who potentially only sold insurance or something along those lines. That's not who we are. Or, they've never worked with an advisor before. So we put it all out there, what it costs, what the process looks like. It's very transparent from that perspective. So, if you've something that you're interested in, you just fill out a small form and you would have the ability to schedule an intro call. From there, it's really just trying to figure out whether or not we're a good fit personality wise, but also too, can we provide the services that you're looking for, talk about what they cost, things of that nature. If you sign on to be a client, we go through a very documented process, which again, we put out in the open as well, but it really revolves around making sure we get organized, understanding what our goals are, building a financial plan that's encompassing from everything from tax to estate planning, insurance, investing, your dental practice, so on and so forth. And then we actually sit down and implement it and monitor it and make changes when life changes. So
I love that. You basically make a treatment plan with room for adjustments. That's what you should say. Use that. Hey, Dennis, we make a treatment plan with room for adjustments. So thanks so much for supporting us. I know I'm going to see you in April, and I truly appreciate all you do for our community, Cecil.
Thanks, Paul.
Awesome, guys. So you guys have seen equipment, restorative materials, money. I am ready for our next guest, and my team is ready to have them join us. So share with us what you do to help dentists survive, thrive, and not cry, and who you are.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm Justin Clements. I'm the Chief Strategy Officer for Ascend Dental Alliance, and we are a management as a service platform. So don't think of us as a DSO or a group of any sorts. We essentially help provide management services for private practice dentists on a flat rate basis. And so we kind of came to the conclusion of, hey, why can't private practice dentists get the same support that a DSO can get without having to give up equity? And so our thought was like, okay, if you can have software and pay monthly for it, why can't you have management services? And so we put this idea together, and it's taken off so far. And so, we take over things like operations. So think like training, onboarding, HR, so people. We're talking about recruiting, compliance, things of that sort. Then you're looking at finance and accounting, so bookkeeping, bill pay, all of that. And then strategy, so financial modeling, forecasting. We work a lot with dentists that are looking to add on more practices and help them. How do they scale their systems? How do they do it without losing their mind?
Yeah.
And we work with dentists that just honestly have a bunch of different goals. Like it may be a husband-wife duo where it's like wife is the office manager, husband's is the dentist, and they want more family time. So it's like, hey, how do we do this? And so what we try to do is offer kind of this full suite of services for a flat monthly rate without taking any equity at all. On an entirely different model than kind of what's out there right now.
I love this description. I love that you are out there offering a sanity preserver, right? Because I believe your tagline, no one's hiring me for marketing, but I'm here to give out taglines like I did to Ryan, should be, we'll handle the outside the operatory stress for you. Because I was at my dental practice on Tuesday and we had plenty of inside the operatory stress with our crowns fitting and patients being frustrated. And then if you're the practice owner, you have to put another hat on when you walk outside that operatory and do HR, do operations, do ordering, figure these things out. And it's really a true bandwidth issue. Where you see these dentists struggling the most? I mean, just if we can sort of illustrate this for our community, are they having problems doing the clinical dentistry or having problems staying sane with all the things outside their operatory?
So it's definitely the latter. And I think when it comes down to it, really, it's kind of this leadership piece of how can I be the best leader that I can possibly be to my team and not let them down. But they're so tied up in the clinical realm of it that it doesn't give them time to kind of step back and look big picture and spend that time with the team and understand like, hey, one thing we always do is we look at mission, vision, values. We set that up with every single practice because we need alignment across the entire board, right? And so it's definitely outside of the chair where a lot of the stress is occurring. And everybody's stress is a little bit different, right? A lot of people are in the recruiting stress mode right now, right? Trying to find staff members. Other people operationally, like they're stuck. They don't know what to do. And they don't know what they don't know. And so I think what it allows us to do is really be collaborative partners. Like, again, like everything for us is a partnership. We don't want to be seen as a vendor, but partners in this relationship. And so that's how we take on every practice that we work with. And, it creates a lot of great synergy between the two. A lot of beneficial synergy. We kind of learn both ways. So it's an awesome time.
I love that. People can text Ascend to 215-543-6454 to work with our awesome sponsor. I have a few more just things to go over. I mean, Jim Gaffigan, one of my favorite comedians, says that when you have a fourth baby, nobody congratulates you. Having a fourth baby is like drowning in the ocean and someone throwing you a baby, right? And that's his joke. Tell us about multi-practice ownership. Do you feel, I know I don't do any skiing. I don't know if that's surprising to people on this call, but people say I get over my skis, right? Have you seen dentists with enthusiasm purchase more than one practice without really any treatment plan in place for how to do that?
There's a ton of it. And whether it's in the current life or the past life, our background, we come from the DSO world. And so we've seen what to do and really what not to do. And so we see it all the time to where there's ideas and passion to grow and add on several practices. However, you really have to lay the foundational framework on what success looks like. And I think the common mistake is when practice owners go and say, hey, they want to jump from 1 to 2 or 3 practices, I don't think they realize a lot of the times how much extra time is that going to take from them, which ultimately takes chair time, which ultimately takes more money out of their pocket. And so we really, I talked to somebody in the group actually yesterday about this, is looking to expand into 2 or 3 offices. And there's just a lot of questions on, what do you do? What do you look for? What are the unknowns? And so, given our experience, we like to share those and say, hey, this is one thing that I would pay attention to and get right from the get-go. But yeah, no, it happens all the time. It happens in the DSO world, right? All the time as well. And so we're here to help those dentists not make those mistakes.
Your other line could be scale with sanity, right? I think people think scale, sanity can trump profitability in a second, because if you can't stay sane, you can't go into work each day, and it can just be mind-boggling the amount of stress that a leader has to deal with. So I'm thrilled to have you guys as sponsors. Hope to get to see you in person. Justin, people can text Ascend to 215-543-6454. And can they just do a simple consult call with you, a Zoom call?
We start with a discovery call. It's a 15 to 30 minute call. And I'll be honest, they usually go for an hour because people just like to talk with us. And we get to know one another.
Audience. It's like us as dentists. People are telling me their sister hates them, and I go, I'm just your dentist, but I'm a captive audience. So you're the captive audience for us. So I like that.
It's a fun conversation, right? right? And so, yeah, it definitely is a discovery call, and we have fun from there.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for supporting the group. Can't wait to high five in person. Appreciate you being here.
Right on. Thanks, Paul. Appreciate it.
So as you guys can see in this fun Talking Nachos TV show, you are learning so many things about increasing success, preserving your sanity, decreasing stress. I'm ready for our next guest when my team is ready. So would you share with us who you are and what you do to help dentists survive, thrive, and not cry? You're polite too there, my friend. I know your name, but I'll let you introduce you. You're polite there. Perfect.
I am David Harris. I'm the CEO of Prosperident. And for the past 34 years, Prosperident has helped dentists thrive and stop crying when it comes to embezzlement. And by embezzlement, of course, Paul, I mean staff stealing from the doctor. So when somebody suspects embezzlement, we investigate stealthily so that the staff don't know that we're doing it. We let you know if somebody does have their hand in your pocket or not. And we also work proactively with practices to put the guardrails in place that will lessen the risk in the future.
I love that. I mean, I was talking with you, and this is one of my good friends and sponsors. You know, dentists are very tuned in to being hacked. I want to share, David, we were hacked in my dental office about 7 years ago. And outside of personal difficulties, it was one of the worst 3 days of my entire life. And everything went as well as possible. We had to send our stuff, computers away, and HIPAA. So it made me think, I'm glad I was protected. And even though I was protected, it was still stressful. We had someone on the call earlier saying business owners may have wildly different views on who's stealing or not. Could you demystify when someone says, hey, David, there's no way someone's stealing from me. My team is like family. I feel like maybe you found out some family stealing before. Can you just help them understand the reality of you can't use feelings to protect yourself?
You know, there's about a 70% chance, 70% chance that a dentist will get stolen from at some point in their career. We all think, Paul, that we are better judges of other people's character than we really are, just like the majority of us think we're above average drivers.
Yeah, yes.
And that's a mathematical impossibility. So dentists use the smell test to hire, and you know they think that they can spot a criminal a mile off, and the statistics suggest otherwise.
And I'll share, I love this reactive and proactive. So just to be clear, if someone's watching us in the group and saying, I feel like this could be happening to me, my deposits are off, something feels off, you've helped my own personal friend, Matt Bickle, they can call you in like the embezzlement cavalry to see what's going on. That's a yes, right?
That is an absolute yes.
But I want to talk for a minute more about this proactive thing, because one of the things you mentioned when you came to meet us last week is, if someone's stealing from you, they're also probably distracted from doing their job well. There's probably other things that are falling apart. So walk me through, use my office. Hey, I want to be proactive, David. I want to hire you to proactively check out my office. Tell me what I'm going to learn. Like, let's say that you find out, hey, Paul, no one's stealing from you, but what else am I going to learn during that process?
A few things. I mean, when we do proactive work, we start by studying your systems. And the first thing we try to do, Paul, is replicate the thought process of an embezzler and see how they would steal in your office. In other words, what procedural weaknesses you have, and let's get there first. In other words, let's not wait for them to find it. Yeah. Let's do that ourselves and fix them. The second thing, and this could include things like how duties are divided up in your practice, how you do pre-employment screening, because in a lot of offices, that's really not nearly as well done as it should be. Security settings in your practice management software. Those are all things that we look at. The other piece, though, and the one that people really love, is that we spend a lot of time on what we call practice owner oversight. So that's teaching you something that you probably had no opportunity to learn in dental school, in residency, or anywhere else. And that's how to get your head into your practice management software and really understand what's going on. So what reports should I look at? What should I do with them? How do I get those reports? Because I can tell you, I'm not a fan of a staff member printing a report and handing it to you, because that just opens the door pretty wide for selective reporting.
Yeah.
So we have a fair number of doctors who don't know how to print reports in their software. And even if they did, they wouldn't know which ones to look at. So we work through all that with our client, and they come out of it as a confident practice owner.
I love that. I mean, so basically it's a nacho brainer to do one of these two things. Proactively make sure things are going well, And then I bet you there's a dentist watching or listening with a feeling in their stomach thinking something's been off, and just hire you to find out if it's off. I mean, I'm sure, we'll have I'm sure you've been hired by someone who's convinced someone was stealing from, and you said, nope, they weren't. And I'm sure you said, my wife wants me to do this, but I know no one's stealing from me, and say, sorry to tell you, you're being stolen from. Are those two stories accurate?
Yeah, well, let me tell you a story. We got hired a little while ago by a dentist who had realized that a staff member was charging personal items to a practice credit card. And the amount of money that she had identified that was stolen was about $8,000.
Wow.
She called us and we said, if somebody would abuse your credit card, chances are that they would find stealing patient payments or payments from insurance companies to be irresistible. So we probably should take a look at that. Well, $147,000 of that kind of theft later, we were done. So she came to us thinking she'd lost $8,000. It was more like $150,000.
Yeah.
Now, she's not happy that she lost the money, but she's much happier that we looked into it. We confirmed what happened, and we gave her the option or the ability to get some of that money back.
I love it. If I'm being hired here with no monetary value for taglines, your tagline should be, we prevent future pain, because you prevented future pain for her. So no matter how bad the pain is, and that's basically what dentists do too. I do look at patients, David, and I say, hey, David, I know you think it's a lot of money. I know you think it's a lot of time, but it's never going to be less money, less time, less pain than today. And that's how I get patients to move forward. And I think you can use the same strategy for your clients.
You can. And you've heard me say this, Paul. Our biggest competitor sometimes is apathy.
Yeah.
People are firmly convinced that if they ignore this problem, it will just correct itself. And it's just like a patient who needs endo. It doesn't matter how much desensitizing toothpaste they use.
Yes.
Next month or next year, they're still going to need endo. In fact, they probably will need it a lot more than they need it today.
Awesome. Well, I love what you're doing. As you know, people can text Embezzle at 215-543-6454. We'll get you connected with David and your team. Do not sleep. Do not be apathetic on something so important in your dentisting life. Thanks so much, David.
Good to see you, Paul.
Awesome. So you guys are learning so much, from equipment to preventing embezzlement. I'm ready for our next guest, so my team is ready to bring them up. And I'm so glad we have this guest as our finale. You can start your video whenever you would like there, if we need help there, but I'm going to promo him to start, because what we put on our face every single day. Sammy, you can start your video. Let me see. Do I need to do anything, Lindsay? I don't think so. I see you on there. Cool. So we have an amazing loops company, Lumident, and we put loops on our face every day. I've been a dentist for over 2 decades, and what you wear on your face is such a big part of staying sane as a dentist. So one of the things that I will share is that loops have made so many improvements from back in my day. And I know Lumident has a variety of options for us and a Nacho deal. My team, do you need me to do anything for Samuel? You can bring him back in a minute if you want, but you can text loops to 215-543-6454. I highly recommend you look at upgrading your loops. I also want to recommend, whether you're a dentist of 1 day, 10 years, or 30 years, dentists have a tendency to be what I call dentisting cheap. And there are way too many posts in the group saying, does anyone know how to super glue my loops back together? So I want to share Get Backup Loops. You have $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 of production. You have 16 patients that stopped their life to come see you. So do not have to cancel patients because you were too cheap to get backup loops. So if there's one thing I recommend you do, is to text loops to 215-543-6454. Get a pair of backup loops. Check out what Lumident is doing, an amazing Nacho sponsor. I was just at the Rocky Mountain and saw them there with their loops. The amount of options you have for loops is so much better than I had back in my day of 2002. So I encourage you to check them out. And again, bring up our Smithson code here. You can text Smithson to 215-543-6454 to join us for fun, food, and friends in Philadelphia.